Hey Vault Hunters, we need to talk about Dahl. Because their weapons in the Borderlands franchise have always been a bit bland, while the other manufacturers have all these cool weapon traits. I think Gearbox Software needs to level up the Dahl manufacturer and make them more interesting in Borderlands 4. The great thing about the weapons in Borderlands 3 was that a lot of weapon manufacturers received new weapon traits. This made the game's arsenal feel fresh and exciting again. However, the Dahl company didn't receive as much love as some of the other manufacturers. Dahl weaponry is tailored towards tactical military shooter enthusiasts. And Gearbox Software plays into that with the look, the vibe, the feel, the camo skin, the burst fire. However, there is much more that Gearbox Software could do with the Dahl manufacturer. Having different firing and zoom modes isn't a very exciting weapon trait in my opinion. So what can Gearbox Software add to the Dahl weaponry that still plays into that tactical military vibe, but doesn't add a gimmick for the sake of adding a new mechanic? So I came up with 3 different packages, and I want to know from you in the comments down below which one you would prefer. Package number 1 is what I would call the modern soldier. I would add some of the flat-off underbarrels from Borderlands 3 to the Dahl weaponry in Borderlands 4, because I think the shotgun and the grenade launcher underbarrels would make more sense on a tactical rifle than on the flat-off weaponry. Flat-off has always been a Russia-inspired weapon manufacturer. Therefore, I think a Tesla coil or a flamethrower or the rocket launcher underbarrel would be a better suit for that arsenal. Dahl always had a grenade launcher type weapon, so I think an underbarrel would make sense. Having different types of grenades could make it a more tactical tool. With incendiary grenades you could set the floor on fire and deal damage over time. But because this is Borderlands, the grenades could do any elemental damage. Another grenade type could be a cluster grenade, because who doesn't like to see a lot of mini-mercs explode on their enemy? Another tactical grenade could be a flashbang that stuns enemies for a brief moment. In Borderlands 1 you could already daze enemies, which basically did the same. So that would be interesting to see that return in Borderlands 4, and it adds that little tactical element to the Dahl weaponry. I can already see a legendary Dahl weapon shoot your equipped grenade mod as a projectile. This could act similar to Zane's skill duct tape mod, where the first shot after a reload has a chance to throw your equipped grenade. However, Gearbox Software could also balance this by the number of alt-fire projectiles and the refill cooldown. And then we arrive at package number 2, the Sci-fi soldier. I know Borderlands already has other gun manufacturers that lean towards the future sci-fi soldier, but I see a desire in the community that would love to see Dahl produce laser weapons. Personally, I would love to see these types of weaponry be accompanied by a drone. Something like you see with the Atlas OPQ system or the TDR 10 Gallon, to enhance that future soldier experience. These drones could be used for additional firepower, but it would also be interesting if you can use them as a utility to mark enemies. Shooting marked enemies would then deal bonus damage. It would be interesting if Dahl had some tactical rounds that allowed you to shoot through walls. Having enemies outlined would make that a lot easier to hit them. And then we arrive at package number 3, tactical reload. Borderlands 4 could implement the active reload mechanic from the game Gears of War to the Dahl weaponry, because it adds to the proficient soldier feeling while rewarding the player with bonuses. For everyone that's not familiar with the active reload mechanic from Gears of War, it's basically a minigame. Reloading your weapon takes a few seconds, but if you press the reload button again at a specific timing during the reload animation, you shorten the reload time and gain a damage boost. Each weapon type has its own timing. Successfully performing an active reload could activate tactical rounds. which could then lead to armor-piercing rounds, explosive rounds, shoot through walls, or maybe a trash pass ability where you can shoot through enemy shields. So those were the 3 packages, and all these ideas I mentioned make me excited about what's possible in the next Borderlands game. The underbarrels seems to be the easiest thing to implement, and I would welcome that. I think Gearbox Software can add some fun variations with that, but I also feel that it is something that we've already had in Borderlands 3. The Future Soldier ID is something Gearbox could implement into Atlas weaponry. They already have the HUD overlay that marks enemies. Piecing rounds and homing projectiles kinda end up being the same thing. The concept of active reloads sounds fun and engaging. However, I'm not sure if Gearbox Software should implement that in Borderlands, because it's a whole new mechanic. This would require an indicator for the timing, and the reload animation should still work, because reload animations are more than just a hand slowly taking out the weapon magazine and putting a new one back in. So, while I really like the active reload ID, it's also the most difficult one to implement. So, which package is most appealing to you, or do you have some other ideas that Gearbox could do with Dahl weaponry? Let me know in the comments down below.